Starting off our list, we have how Joe Coy was described as the worst host ever. Now, Joe Coy is supposed to be a comedian, which means he's supposed to be funny, but he had the crowd pity laughing because his bits turned into more of a monologue, and people were less than impressed. He claimed he only got the gig 10 days before the event, so if they wanted him to be a perfect host, they should just shut up. Isn't it your whole job to be able to make and write jokes that are funny? No one expects perfection, but it could have at least been polished. Fans were blasting him on social media about his comments on Robert De Niro as well, because Joe said that he was sorry that he was a fan of his. And the fact that Robert De Niro got his 29-year-old girlfriend pregnant was his best performance yet, considering he's 80. While it did make the crowd laugh, his jokes came off as abrasive rather than funny. Which brings me to my next point. Joe Coy's jokes about Taylor Swift. One of the more abrasive jokes he made was about Taylor Swift, and we know how well those jokes go over. Well, the joke in question was that the difference between the Golden Globes and an NFL game was that there was less coverage of Taylor Swift. Some people gasped and other people chuckled, but Taylor did not appreciate it. She didn't even crack a smile. She just pursed her lips, took a sip of her drink, and glared at him with pure malice. The fact that she was just there for attendance made it worse because she was there with her friends, notably Selena Gomez, who we'll talk more about later. But he went out of his way to call her out and felt the wrath of Swift fans, which brings us to the next point, about how Joe Coy was backpedaling on the joke. After his hosting, Twitter went a little haywire. Fans were saying things like how he just walked on set and said, "I'm hosting," and no one did a background check to make sure that was a good idea. And that the audience was pity laughing because of his Barbie jokes, and it was more than obvious he missed the point of the movie. That and his monologue was just plain awful. But when fans got to the Swift jokes, he began backpedaling, trying to defend himself, saying that Taylor and Travis's relationship is cute. There just happened to be fewer cutaways. He then said, maybe she was just thirsty, maybe she just needed a drink and it was weird timing. No man, your joke wasn't funny and she didn't appreciate that. She's made it clear she was only at the games to support Travis, and she isn't worried about pissing off other fans, because she's just there for him, not for them. Following that up, we have Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner's appearance. To wrap my head around the fact that Timothée Chalamet is dating Kylie Jenner is already a hard one to picture, considering he looks 14 but he's really 28 and she's 26 but she looks 30. But because he was nominated, no one was really surprised he brought his girlfriend as a date. However, in classic Hollywood fashion, they showed up late. But they were adorable all the same. They were wearing matching black sequin outfits and were displaying a good amount of PDA throughout the ceremony, and were caught being absolutely smitten with one another. While it's adorable, it caused a little bit of tension, which brings me to the next point, about Kylie's protective energy. Of course, you can't blame Kylie for being protective, but when Selena Gomez asked Timothée for a photo because you know he's a famous actor, Kylie stepped in and said no. Selena took that back to the table and shared this with Taylor Swift, who she is really good friends with, like I mentioned before. But this isn't as surface level as Kylie being protective. It goes as far back as Selena's beef with Hailey Bieber. Taylor and Selena are besties, and Hailey and Kylie were besties. So obviously there's still some residual hate from Kylie towards Selena because of the incident that happened over the previous years. But you'd think she'd feel safe enough in their relationship that she wouldn't mind letting him take photos with fans. The whole thing seemed to have an off vibe to it, but it was embarrassing that Kylie had her insecurities outed like that. Next on the list, we have how Barbie was practically ignored despite winning. Now, Barbie was a smash at the box office, making $155 million on opening weekend alone, but aside from the jokes, it was relatively ignored throughout the ceremony. Now, that's not saying they didn't win. Billie Eilish won an award for the best song in a movie, while 2 other songs from the movie were nominated as well, and the movie itself won a cinematic and box office achievement. But the movie was nominated for a good chunk of the categories. Considering how many memes there were, how many songs were streamed from the movies, and how it affected the entire internet algorithm, I feel like it deserved a little more recognition than what it got, and it's almost embarrassing that it didn't. To follow that, we have how Studio Ghibli beat out Disney. Now, this is a huge feat. Disney owns just about everything, and they dominate the animation business, owning Pixar, Blue Sky, as well as a few other animation studios aside from DreamWorks. So for Studio Ghibli to pull ahead and out on top is incredible. They have a Japanese art style that's truly beautiful and magical, and it's been flying under the radar for years, considering they haven't released a new full-length movie in years as well. And they haven't made such a huge theater debut in decades. So for them to not only win, but beat out Disney Pixar's Elements and Disney's Wish, as well as Into the Spider-Verse, because Sony is also owned by Disney, while it's incredible that they won, the Disney name has to feel some embarrassment considering they had 3 movies in the running and still lost. Next up, we have how Killers of the Moonflower was also widely ignored. Now, this was predicted by a lot of avid movie watchers considering the nature of the film compared to everything else that was released this year. They received 7 nominations over many categories, but only won a single award. And it wasn't for the movie itself, but rather Lily Gladstone's portrayal of her character in the movie. So there has to be some embarrassment there. The fact that they lost on every front except hers. They say you can't win them all, but they didn't win any for the movie itself. But it did have a more serious subject matter compared to some of the other winners, and it wasn't received as well in theaters nor streaming services, considering it was a Paramount and Apple TV original. They were beaten out by mostly Oppenheimer, which makes sense overall, but it's still unfortunate for the movie cast and crew. Overall, fans may have enjoyed it, but like many other things, the Academy did not care for it. Second to last, we have how Timothée Chalamet was there for one category. Not only was he there for his role in Wonka, and was only nominated for 2 categories technically, both based on his character, but he lost in both categories as well. He and Kylie walked in there like they were big shot talk of the town just for him to lose. The least they could have done was be there on time to create less of a spectacle for themselves, since he seemed very confident he had the win. That's what happens when you get too full of yourself and your acting skills. You lose in front of your girlfriend, and the embarrassment from that was enough to take him down a notch. And last but not least, we have how the entire thing was described as lame and chaotic. Between Jo Koy's secondhand embarrassing monologue, which caused even Selena Gomez to bow and shake her head, to the lack of excitement from many attendees, it was described as rushed and unpolished, like he could have used some refining before he went on stage. People even described this year's Golden Globes overall as forgettable, and it was just a blur of talking heads and jokes that fell flat. At least this year, the champagne wasn't lukewarm like Jennifer Lawrence predicted. Out of the 81 Golden Globes, this one was ranked at a level D of entertaining. It's embarrassing for the Academy, I suppose. The Golden Globes was a glamorous event with many big-name stars who became bigger-name winners. But there was a sneaky and snide moment that caught some viewers' attention. Selena Gomez was spotted gossiping about something with her best friend Taylor Swift and Kaylee Sperry. Of course, this made the internet go crazy, and lip readers hopped right on it, and mutually agreed that Selena told the girls that she asked Timothée Chalamet for a photo, and Kylie Jenner said no. This is what got Selena so heated and why she was livid after her interaction with Kylie Jenner. But that's just the beginning of it. To get a proper look at the situation, let's take into account everything that happened that night. Selena was there because she was an actress of one of the TV shows that was nominated, and Taylor was there as support for a few of her friends, including Selena as well as Emma Stone. Timothy and Kylie showed up fashionably late because the Jenner family does have a flair for the theatrics, and they made no effort to hide their PDA, holding hands and stealing quick kisses in between commercial breaks. But during these sweet moments, there was a few tense ones too, like when Selena approached Timothy and asked him to take a photo, since he's becoming a fairly big name in acting now. But before he had the chance to respond, Kylie stepped in and said no, absolutely not. This was when Selena, taken aback, went back to her table and shared this gossip. But what led to that very abrupt and seemingly controlling reaction? We have to take a deeper look into Kylie and Selena's relationship. Their relationship is long, rocky, and complicated, to say the very least. There was a point in time where they were friends, but that was back between 2014 to 2018. In 2014, they were spotted attending Coachella together, which is a very huge deal in the Hollywood world. They were civil after that, and in 2018, they were spotted posing together for a photo at the Met Gala and looked happy enough. There was no other news between them since, or nothing extremely noteworthy, that is. But after the way Kylie reacted, people are wondering if they were ever actually friends or if they were just playing civil for the camera because they didn't want any drama. But when things started to get heated between Hailey Bieber and Selena, This was when Kylie chose her side. Apparently, there was a rumor that Hailey and Kylie were mocking Selena's freshly laminated brows in a video they posted on social media. They were also on FaceTime while they were talking about it, but they denied this claim. However, this isn't the first time Hailey has copied Selena either, and was called out for it. She was often seen wearing similar outfits, saying similar things, and using almost the exact same lingo and sayings. Not to mention, she married Selena's ex-boyfriend of 8 years, Justin Bieber. So maybe she was just trying to be her for Justin? Who really knows why grown women copy each other? So this is where the feud began, since Selena called out Hailey and Kylie got herself involved by defending her, but they both agreed there was no actual beef between them. Even if their reactions spoke otherwise, people can be shady. Well, the rift continued to get worse when Kylie started dating Timothy. They started dating in early 2023, but Selena and Timothy were friends before this. They worked on a movie together in 2019 and were good on a mutual level. In 2020, they were on Instagram Live together and seemed like good friends. And then he even said that Selena should run for president in 2024 as a joke. So in 3 years, what's changed? What made their friendship dissipate? One word: Kylie. As I mentioned before, Kylie and Timothy started dating in early 2023, but knew each other before that. Apparently, they met at a fashion event in Paris, the city of love, obviously. And as iconic as that is, fans believe that's what put the stake between Selena and Timothy, since Kylie didn't really like the idea of her in the first place. Of course, we don't know for sure if that's a fact, but it's an interesting thing to theorize about. Because of this, that's why Kylie told Selena no when she asked Timothy for a photo. But it could also be Kylie's insecurity. Makeup and modeling can only hide so much, and it's not enough to block out the past. Kylie was in a mostly long-term relationship with Travis Scott, who's the father of her 2 kids, and is no longer very present in their lives. They had a very rocky relationship, considering he couldn't stay loyal to her and cheated on her with multiple people, and ended up deciding he really didn't want to be a present father figure. But that's not where her messy relationship history starts. While Keeping Up with the Kardashians was still running, she was in a very public relationship with Tyga, which included luxury gifts and an on and off again situation. And after 3 years, they called it off. However, it didn't take Kylie long to move on from this, and that's when she started dating Travis. And they promptly had Stormy together. Then right after that, she posed on the cover of Playboy. Weird turn, but good for her. They welcomed a son together as well before he left for the last time, and fans still believe their relationship isn't quite over. So you can't blame Kylie for having a little bit of relationship anxiety, but the fact that she still remained with that much anxiety in her first healthy relationship is rather unfortunate. It isn't exactly her place to deny Timothy's photos, especially one with someone he was friends with before her. We also know that Selena is also taken now, happily as far as we know. She and Benny Blanco have been dating for around 6 months now, and kept it a secret from the world so they could figure out what they wanted before they told the world. They soft launched a couple of months ago, and it sent the internet into a whirlwind of excitement and hate. So there's no doubt that Kylie caught wind of her happy relationship, and yet she's still that protective over Timothy. The real motives behind Kylie's reaction and Selena's whispering to her friends and their feud, it's all up in the air, and is still being figured out.
Number 10, Russell Brand. The comedian turned actor Russell Brand may be best known for roles like Aldous Snow and Get Him to the Greek and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, or maybe for his musical chops with his real fake band Infant Sorrow. But what many people may not know about the Brand Man is that awards shows have always been his guilty pleasure. Russell was a regular audience member, and eventually he was asked to attend as a full-fledged host for MTV's VMAs. The hosting gig has been debated by fans as both being great for his career and a career ender. He decided to take time away from the artists and joke about the American president at the time, Barack Obama, and former president George W. Bush. He said a lot of stuff that I can't repeat on the internet, literally calling Barack Obama another word for mentally challenged, and another one that means cat. Following his time as host, MTV decided that he was not the best fit for their program. The VMAs are supposed to be a fun night celebrating talented artists around the world, and instead, Russell turned it into a political stand-up routine. Considering he's not allowed back to the MTV Awards and, all the dark stuff that's come out about him this year, go check stuff out about that. He is not allowed at any awards shows. ever again. Number 9. Amber Heard. Amber Heard is back to work after having her career put on hold while she participated in one of the most televised and highly debated celebrity court cases in history. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard got into a deep court battle over an op-ed she released back in 2016, in which she claimed that Johnny was a tyrant who was physically and emotionally damaging towards her during their relationship. Johnny won the trial, and both himself and Amber were good to get back to work. Johnny has been working on some more dramatic pieces and spending time on his music. Meanwhile, Amber got back into the saddle and started to film her latest project, In the Fire, which, surprise, she also produced. While the movie does exist, it's nowhere near the level it needs to be in order to get any nominations. There have been a ton of incredible movies and TV shows to come out of this year that do deserve nominations and wins. Her movie is not one of them, and so far she has not been invited to the ceremony. Number 8. Ellen DeGeneres. Now, before she was outed as the manager of a toxic work environment, she was actually a very well-respected TV host and celebrity. In 2014, she used her power to get a bunch of actors together for a selfie. The selfie featured the faces of Meryl Streep, Channing Tatum, Julia Roberts, Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, Brad Pitt, Lupita Nyong'o, Peter Nyong'o, Angelina Jolie, Jared Leto, and one man whose name I'm not allowed to say because it'll get us demonetized, so let's call him the Spaceman. So many celebrities got together and the photo went viral overnight, but as I said, Ellen and her influence were a ticking clock heading for doomsday. Eventually, former employees got together to release statements claiming that they were subjected to rude behavior and just straight up bullying from both Ellen herself and several high-ranking executives. As this information was released, her show got canceled along with her career, and being a former TV host would usually mean that you're on track to host the Oscars or Golden Globes or any one of these events, but it's looking like she may not be invited to any awards shows anytime soon, especially not the Golden Globes. If Ellen ever wants to host a show for her own again, it'll have to be a self-tape docu-series that she sells as physical DVDs in a strip mall. Remember DVDs? I say that like they no longer exist in Walmarts. Number 7. Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty. This is one of the few live TV fumbles that I actually got to see happen live, and I was just as confused as the rest of the world, I'm sure. In 2017, at the Oscars ceremony, Warren and Faye appeared on stage to present the award for Best Film. They opened an envelope and read the name out loud. At first, Faye was a little confused because it was later revealed that the envelope said Emma Stone La La Land, as she was accidentally handed a copy of the winner's name for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Because it said La La Land, she confidently told the audience that La La Land had won the Oscar. As the crew from the project flooded the stage, Warren and Faye continued to look a little confused until the stage is just overflowing with excited people ready to accept their Oscars. However, a moment later, the director of the film, Damien Chazelle, saw the envelope and addressed the audience. A mistake had been made and they did not win. A stagehand ran to the crew, handing them the real winner's name, Moonlight. Moonlight had won Best Picture that year, not La La Land. There was a moment of people thinking that this is some kind of a joke, but they were being very sincere. The best part of this moment is Ryan Gosling, the lead of the movie and nominee for Best Actor, trying to contain his laughter. He wasn't even upset. It was more like a, you gotta be kidding me. Something tells me that Faye and Warren will not be asked to present another award at any show for the foreseeable future. Number 6. John Travolta. A little while back in 2014, John Travolta flubbed the name of one of the most famous women in musical theater history. At the Oscars that year, he was supposed to introduce Idina Menzel ahead of her performance of Let It Go, cause in case you didn't know, she's Elsa. She was also Elphaba in the musical Wicked and a ton of other shows as well, but for this event she was promoting the film and showcasing a piece of music that became one of the most popular songs for the next 3 years. He was so confident in his delivery, he introduced the audience to the wickedly talented, the one and only Adele Dazeem. The moment spawned some parody Twitter accounts and even an Adele Dazeem random name generator that turned Jared Leto into Jed Lopez and Matthew McConaughey into Michael Mausolean. The following year, the two appeared on stage together where Idina decided to drop a little revenge. She was set to introduce the next round of nominees, and as a little joke, the Oscars executives decided to invite John Travolta back to team up with Adele. She introduced him by his new name, Glom Gazingo. The The interaction between them seemed a bit forced, but it was nice that they played the entire thing off as funny rather than an actual incident. Since then, John is to triple check things before he presents at any award shows, but for all we know, he's just stopped being invited to them altogether. Number 5, Kanye West. There are so many reasons that this man is banned from ever attending another VMA, a Golden Globe, an Oscar ceremony, anything in his entire life. We can chalk it up to him literally being a cuckoo. After all, he was fired from basically every single company that he worked for after posting some pretty bad tweets that I can't get into at this time. But the reality is that Kanye was banned in the mid-2010s following several public mishaps as well as one on stage that is still talked about to this day. An incident took place in 2009 at the VMAs when Taylor Swift attempted to accept her award for Best Female Artist of the Year. Kanye stormed the stage and took the microphone from her hands. He then told her that he was gonna let her finish, but he wanted to tell everyone that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. Taylor still jokes about that incident to this day. While she was in Mexico City during her Eras tour this year, she took the stage to play her piano when the crowd started chanting her name. She said that having someone interrupt you by chanting your name is the best way to be interrupted, and she should know. Kanye was issued a ban from the following year of the VMAs and has since received a lifetime ban from both MTV and has been blacklisted from most other award shows indefinitely. Number 4, Kevin Hart. Kevin was set to host the Oscars back in 2019, but he was fired last minute after a stand-up bit and a series of tweets resurfaced that painted him as anti-LGBTQ+. In 2009, Kevin sent out a series of tweets that contained jokes about his feelings should his son potentially come out in the future, making a comment that he would break a dollhouse over his head if he saw him playing with it. He said some harsher stuff that really should not be repeated, and I'm not gonna, but I can understand why a lot of people found these comments pretty rude and damaging, cause they were! At the time, the comments didn't go unnoticed, but they just kind of flew under the radar a little bit in terms of media coverage. He then repeated these jokes on stage in his seriously funny stand-up special. There were also a few homophobic jokes written into the script of the film Get Hard, which I have seen, and I gotta agree, it's a little bit too much. In 2015, when asked about the tweets, he told people that he would not repeat the jokes that he made today, but the only reason was that the times were getting too sensitive. When he was announced as a host in 2018, the internet collectively put a case together as to why he should not be the host. The Oscars were forced to fire him in the role of the host due to the alarming numbers of hate mail that they were receiving on a daily basis. Before they actually let him go, they did give him an option to either apologize and own up, or just to be let go. Hart released an Instagram video where he decided to pass on an apology because he had already addressed the issue several times and acknowledged the rights and wrongs of the incident. The statement only led to more online outrage and sparked a massive debate. But the next day, he released a separate statement apologizing for his actions and words, and especially to the community that he insulted. Although he apologized and things seem to get better now, he is not asked to do any gig like that ever again. Number 3, Roberto Benigni. In 1998, after being announced as the winner of the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film and a ton of other Oscars that night, Roberto was stoked. So stoked that he forgot where he was for a second. He leaped to his feet and stood on the back of the seat in front of him, literally using a man's head to keep himself balanced. He proceeded to walk over a few people before jumping back into the aisle and running up to accept his award as normal. The moment was not seen as some crazy act, as this was a night that Roberto and Italy as a whole were honored with the film Life is Beautiful, receiving over 20 nominations and winning 10 of them. Roberto's excitement did cause the Academy and a few other awards shows to update their policies. No parkour during the ceremony, folks. Number 2, Britney Spears. Britney Spears was finally released from her conservatorship in 2021 and has since been on a new journey of self-realization and expression. In the past year or two, Britney has been involved with a ton of TV moments, usually interviews, but she recently released a memoir detailing her experiences. She revealed a ton of juicy information about herself and her family, but we've already done dedicated videos on that, so if you're curious, just, go back and check them out. As we are all aware, Hollywood loves to take books, whether they're fiction or non-fiction, as long as it's a good story, they're gonna use it. Well, Britney's memoir might be one of those books, but considering her behavior on TikTok in the past few months, something tells me that's probably not gonna happen anytime soon. For those of you who don't know, a series of videos were posted to Britney's TikTok where she seems to be dancing with some stabby jabby things and told everyone that they were fake. Fake or real? Someone needs to check on Britney, because no one's letting her at any award shows anytime soon with that attitude. And at number 1, Will Smith. Will Smith is banned from every single awards show from now until the end of time. If you don't know why, you have been living under a rock for the last 2 years. Say hi to Patrick for me. Number 10. VMAs from 2015. 2015 VMAs were just start to finish rough. Miley Cyrus hosted that year, which was a bad idea. Not that she did a bad job, but she was in the midst of a feud with Nicki Minaj. Nicki called her out when she took to the stage to accept her Best Hip Hop award, asking her what was good. Miley had just talked trash about her in the New York Times, and there was a brief back and forth, but all in all, it could have been way worse. Oh yeah, it did get worse. On top of dropping a numerous amount of F-bombs during the show, there was a wardrobe malfunction for Miley. At one point in the show, she did a bit where she was holding part of a drape over herself while changing, but the drape slipped and revealed her bare chest to the world. No censor was able to catch it at the moment, and any footage now is of course blurred, but that's what happens when you do it live. It wasn't just Miley that caused issues. Kanye West also made a long-winded speech that was kind of a rant, kind of a truth bomb, but mostly nonsense. The speech derailed the flow of the show and was just a little peek into the madman that was being created. Oh, and to top it all off, no Beyonce, no Madonna, no Lady Gaga. Why? Number 9. Michael's birthday speech. Travel back to 2002 with me for a moment. It's just a jump to the left. It's a musical thing. On August 29th, the VMAs took place on what also happened to be Michael Jackson's birthday. In case you forgot, Michael was the Thriller guy, Macaulay Culkin's best friend. You should not forget him. In honor of Michael Jackson and in celebration, MTV threw a birthday party during the event. Britney Spears was tasked with presenting Michael and delivering his birthday cake. During his speech to set up Michael's arrival, she praised him as an incredible performer and referred to him as the artist of the millennium. Things got a little awkward when Michael took the stage and started giving a speech, thanking the audience for giving him the Artist of the Millennium award. In one of the most uncomfortable moments in MTV's history, Michael Jackson started describing his childhood and how appreciative he was for the honor being bestowed upon him. The crowd was confused but ultimately decided to play along and gave him a massive round of applause. When Michael found out about the incident, he was actually more giggly than anything else. According to his management team at the time, he thought it was hilarious and felt like the biggest fool in the world. A happy birthday indeed. Number 8, Oscar Streaker. This is by far the oldest entry on this list, dating back to 1974. During the Oscar ceremony, as the host David Niven was introducing Elizabeth Taylor, who was presenting the award for Best Picture, as he was making a speech literally referencing how the world was having a bit of a nervous breakdown and that films provided an escape from reality. A man wearing nothing but his mustache and his birthday suit ran across the stage, throws up a peace sign, and disappears off the camera. He never says a single word the entire time he's up there. After Niven had a bit of a chuckle, he told the crowd that this was bound to happen, but was it? Even in 1974, it was pretty difficult to get into the Oscars without an invitation. Robert Opel, the man with the mustache, made his way through security by posing as a journalist, and while behind the scenes, he cut a hole in a large and expensive piece of curtain that was supposed to be used for projecting images, and then made it to the other side of the stage. It was later revealed that this was actually somewhat planned, as the man was encouraged by a producer to make an appearance, and to do what he did when Niven said his lines, which was a strange and memorable moment for sure. Number 7, Miss Universe. Getting the name wrong for an award show moment is one thing, and at the Oscars, there are at least a ton of people who can share in your disappointment if that ever happens. But in 2015, Steve Harvey, the host of Family Feud, was the host of the Miss Universe pageant, bringing women from all around the globe to compete for the title of Miss Universe. As Steve went on to announce the winner, he confidently exclaimed that Miss Colombia, who was really the first runner-up, was the winner, when actually it was Miss Philippines. The mistake was not his fault though. During the rehearsal, he was only supposed to say 2 names, the runner-up and the winner, but last minute they changed it to where he had to say 3 names, which really just threw him off and created a lot of chaos. The teleprompter said 1 name, but someone in his ear told him to just read the name on the card that he was holding. Those were 2 different names, and a fumble took place. He went backstage and got told he did a great job, but then he was told he said the wrong name, and instead of waiting for the news to come out the next day, Steve walked back on stage, revealed he made a mistake, and to the devastation of one woman and the delight of another. He received a lot of flack for this moment, but again, not really his fault. Number 6, Moonlight mix-up. This is one of the few live TV fumbles I actually got to see happen live, and I was just as confused as the rest of the world. In 2017, at the Oscar ceremony, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway appeared on stage to present an award for Best Film. They opened an envelope and read the name out loud. At first, Faye was a little confused, as it was later revealed that the envelope said Emma Stone La La Land because she was accidentally handed a copy of the winners from Best Actress in a leading role. Because it said La La Land, she confidently told the audience that La La Land won the Oscar. As the crew from the project flooded the stage, Warren and Faye just looked confused until the stage was overflowing with excited cast and crew ready to accept their Oscars. However, one moment later, the director of the film, Damien Chazelle, saw the envelope and addressed the audience. A mistake had been made and they didn't win. A stagehand jogged to them, just bolted across the room, handed them the real winner's name, which was Moonlight, who had won Best Picture that year, not La La Land. There is a moment of people thinking it's some kind of a joke, but the director was being very sincere. The best part of this moment? Ryan Gosling is in the background, the lead of the movie and a nominee for Best Actor, and all he is doing is trying to contain his laughter. He wasn't even upset, it was more like a "you gotta be kidding me" type deal. Something tells me that Faye and Warren won't be asked to present any awards anytime soon. Number 5, Adele Dazeem. A while back in 2014, John Travolta flubbed the name of one of the most famous women in musical theater history. At the Oscars that year, he was supposed to introduce Idina Menzel ahead of her performance of Let It Go, cause in case you didn't know, she voices Elsa. She was also Elphaba in the musical Wicked and a ton of other stuff, but I can't geek out about that right now. For this event, she was promoting the film Frozen and showcased a piece of music that became one of the most popular songs for the next 3 years. It's probably still in your head right now. He was so confident in his delivery, he introduced the audience to the wickedly talented, one and only Adele Dazeem. The moment spawned some parody Twitter accounts, and there's even an Adele Dazeem random name generator that's turned people like Jared Leto into Jed Lopez and Matthew McConaughey into Michael Mazzoline. Kinda like that one. The following year, the two appeared on stage together again, where Idina decided to drop some revenge. She was set to introduce the next round of nominees, and as a little joke, the Oscars executives decided to invite John Travolta back to team up with Adele. She introduced him by his new name, Glom Gazingo. The interaction between them seemed a little bit forced, but it was nice that they played the whole thing off as funny rather than an actual incident. Since then, John is supposed to triple check everything before he presents and has to practice pronouncing names constantly. Number 4, Will Smith versus Chris Rock. In 2022, Chris Rock was presenting at the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Rock expressed his excitement to see her in a fictional G.I. Jane movie, and immediately following the joke, which was very funny and landed for everyone else, Rock stood in confusion because Will Smith started making his way to the stage. What's going on? Well, Will adjusted his jacket, took a firm stance, and clocked Chris right across his cheeks. He winded up his hand first to conjure the ultimate amount of force, and initially this was seen as a planned joke or something, but then Will started shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his mouth, adding a couple F-bombs in there. Chris handled the situation pretty well, and he kept his cool, laughing it off for the camera, and he brought out the next award presenter. He was professional and was quick to get the night back on track, but unfortunately about an hour later, Will Smith won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role because he played, Richard Williams, the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena, in a movie. But during his speech, he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming the situation was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. Unfortunately for Will, the slap was enough to get him banned from the Oscars indefinitely. And on top of that, he seemingly canceled himself, now being seen as an aggressive man with no impulse control. He was fired from upcoming projects, and right now he just sits at his home polishing his one and only Oscar next to one single lit candle in the darkest room of his mega mansion. Number 3, Adrien Brody and Halle Berry. We're popping back again to 2003 at the Academy Awards, where Halle Berry presented Adrien Brody with the award for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Normally, when you accept an award like this, you walk on stage, thank the person who announced you, and give a little speech. But instead, Adrien grabbed Halle Berry's face and pulled her in close, planting one right on her. At the time, the incident was brushed off and nothing was thought of it, but a couple of years ago, Hallie admitted that the moment was unplanned and she had no idea what was happening. At the time, this moment was seen as comedic or just some fun between friends, but in 2023, the moment feels a lot darker and it's pretty clear that Hallie was uncomfortable. Number 2, Jennifer Lawrence. This is one of the more memorable award show moments of all time that she may never live down. In 2013, while walking up the stage to accept her Oscar for Best Actress, Jennifer took a little tumble and tripped on her dress. She stood giggling for a moment, but eventually made her way to the stage. But the following year, she fell again, only this time on the red carpet, and again the next year. People started to notice a pattern and started to think that maybe she was just doing it on purpose to appear more grounded. Not some Hollywood elite who knows how to walk properly, you know, because if you're not famous, then you can't walk straight. Those are the rules. Eventually, she got her footing down and has not made any more on-air tumbles in recent history, but we can chalk up the moments to Jen wearing a dress that was a little bit just too long and not paying attention to where she was stepping, but that's about it. And at number 1, the Kanye snub. Now, there are so many reasons that Kanye West is banned from attending another VMA show in his life, and most award shows. Now, we could chalk it up to him being a cuckoo. After all, he was fired from basically every company he worked for when he posted some pretty bad tweets that I will not get into. But the reality is that Kanye was banned in the mid-2010s following several public mishaps, as well as one onstage incident that people still talk about today. The incident took place in 2009 when Taylor Swift was trying to accept her award for Best Female Artist of the Year. Kanye stormed the stage, took the mic from her hand, and told everyone that he was gonna let her finish, but that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time, guys! He didn't sound that nerdy, but Taylor still jokes about the incident to this day. While she was in Mexico City this year for her Eras tour, she took to the stage to play her piano and the crowd started chanting her name. She said that having someone interrupt you by chanting your name is actually the best way to be interrupted, and she should know.
Mandy Moore is first on our list that the public is really upset about. The public really feels that she should have been recognized for her incredible work on the hit show This Is Us. Not just the public though, her own castmates too. Her castmate Chrissy Metz spoke out and commented on the snub, saying, "I was frustrated for Mandy not being recognized when the work that she did is so unreal and when it's so subtle and nuanced. I think people don't realize what it really takes and how many hours she would sit in the chair and makeup trailer before she even got to set. And oh, of course, she was pregnant." Mandy Moore played Rebecca Pearson in all 6 seasons of This Is Us, and she played her throughout many stages of her life. Her work was truly so beautiful, and as the show has now wrapped, it's a shame that she didn't get at least an acknowledgement. Mandy has gone on to comment on her snub, saying, "So unendingly proud of Sid Coleslaw Music and Taylor Goldsmith for getting an Emmy nom for their song Forever Now on our final season of This Is Us. Do I wish our show was recognized in what I think was its finest hour? Sure. Nothing can take away what our show meant to so many, us included. That's an incredible legacy to be a part of. I will forever be grateful." Pop singer and actress Selena Gomez is next up on our list of celebs that have been snubbed. Selena is a part of the very popular Only Murders in the Building show with icons Martin Short and Steve Martin. Both of the male leads have received a nod from the Emmys and have been nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series, but not Selena. The actors went on to comment on the snub. Steve Martin said, "We're thrilled at the nominations, not only for us but for the show." But he also commented that we're dismayed that Selena was not nominated because she's so crucial to our performances, really. Next up on our list, we have the cast of Yellowstone. The cast and show were completely left out of the Emmys this year, and the public has been quite upset about it. The show has attracted a large audience over the years, and the season 4 finale episode had over 11 million viewers to date. Its prequel, 1883, however, got 3 nominations, 2 for cinematography and 1 for music. The Blackish cast was also snubbed this season, as neither Anthony Anderson nor Tracee Ellis Ross earned a nomination for the final season of the show. The public is not happy about it, as it was a great show that deserved some recognition. Sadie Sink and Millie Bobby Brown for Stranger Things were also left out. The public agrees that in this latest season, like all the other seasons thus far, their performances were epic and deserved a nod from the Emmys. Stranger Things, the show, though, did get nominated for Outstanding Drama Series. Mindy Kaling, creator of Never Have I Ever and former creator and star of The Mindy Project and writer of The Office, has been snubbed yet again. In 2020, Mindy had this to say via Twitter in regards to the Never Have I Ever snub. "Wait, stop the celebrations. Where the F is Never Have I Ever?" Once again, she
has been snubbed for season 2. The release of the 3rd season may have come a little late for the nominations this year, but if Never Have I Ever gets snubbed again next year, the public may be up in arms. Clear fan favorites need to be acknowledged, and Never Have I Ever is a clear favorite, taking the #1 place on Netflix throughout the world in its opening weekend. The writing, the cast, everything about it is just TV gold. I'm a bit of a Mindy Kaling diehard myself, so it was shocking to hear that she has never won an Emmy when she is clearly the future of television. Some final snubs include Julia Roberts for Gaslit, the cast of Atlanta, Andie MacDowell for Maid, the cast of Pen 15, the cast of Pachinko, and Sarah Goldberg for Barry.
In at number 10, Ricky Gervais. Easily the most talked about on this list was Ricky Gervais's monologue, because it was clear he was intending to shock the audience with this speech. Gervais hosted the 2020 Golden Globe Awards at a time when so many celebrities were getting into hot water, and he didn't try to shy away from any of it. This 8-minute monologue took aim at the celebrities in the audience, and it was a delight to watch to the regular people around the world. During the speech, Gervais singled out Prince Andrew, Jeffrey Epstein, and the woke Hollywood. After giving the speech on a podcast, Gervais said he asked himself beforehand, quote, "Do I pander to the 200 egos in the room or to the 200 million people watching around the world? And there's no contest." One of the main criticisms of award shows these days is that they get too political, and Gervais addressed this head on in his speech. He told the celebrities in the audience, quote, "You're in no position to lecture the public about anything.
If you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and f*** off."
He then trashed the actors for being against harmful labor practices, but working for exploitative companies like Apple and Amazon. In at number 9, Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson hosted the 2022 BAFTA Film Awards, and her opening monologue was pretty controversial, dropping the jaws of many of the attendees. Rebel Wilson took the opportunity to announce that she was the next James Bond and to reveal a Daniel Craig tattoo live on stage. After announcing her role as the next Bond, she said,
"And because of the gender pay gap, I actually won't be called 007, I'll be 004.5.
During her speech, Rebel also addressed her dramatic weight loss, donning a sparkling red gown and saying, quote, "I might look a bit different from the last time you saw me here." Then adding, quote, "I hope JK Rowling still approves." Then continuing, "Guys, seriously, I didn't lose weight just for a guy, I did it to get more acting roles. I'm now so excited I can play the non-funny love interest in an Adam Sandler movie." She finished off the monologue by saying, quote, "In all sign languages, this is the gesture for Putin," before raising her middle finger. And at number 8, Michael Moore. After Moore won the award for his documentary Bowling for Columbine at the 2003 Oscars, he came on stage and gave one of the most hated acceptance speeches of all time. Accepting his award, Moore slammed then President George W. Bush.
"We like nonfiction and we live in fictitious times. We live in a time where we have fictitious election results, where we have a man sending us to war for fictitious reasons."
But it seemed the audience was not on board with his messaging, and he was actually getting booed loudly during the speech. Moore later said about the speech, quote, "As soon as I said fictitious times and the fictitious election results, there was a ton of sound, primarily boos. I could barely hear myself speak. It was like I had ignited a riot."
We are against this war, Mr. Bush. Shame on you, Mr. Bush. Shame on you.
In at number 7, Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor was at the peak of her career when she was asked to perform on SNL, but the live performance did not go as planned and her statements had serious repercussions. O'Connor performed on SNL in October of 1992, but SNL was probably wishing that she didn't, because O'Connor ended the performance by holding up a picture of Pope John Paul II, ripping it up, and stating, quote, "Fight the real enemy," obviously offending millions of people in the process. The show quickly cut after they saw what happened, but the damage was already done, and tons of angry calls came in. One audience member even tried to assault O'Connor and had to be removed by security. Not only was O'Connor banned from SNL and most likely ever hosting anything again, her career never recovered. In at number 6, Angelina Jolie. This is easily Angelina Jolie's strangest moment, and I can't believe more people don't talk about how insane it was. Jolie showed up to the 2000 Academy Awards very excited for the night to come, because she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Girl Interrupted. But her time on the red carpet was a shock to everyone. She came with her brother James Haven, who she kissed on the mouth at the red carpet. Things were even stranger when she won the award and said during her speech,
"And I'm so in love with my brother right now." He just held me and said he loved me.
After After the strange moment, nobody could figure out what even happened and if their relationship could potentially be romantic. Jolie later said nothing romantic happened between them, and their parents actually loved this display of affection, but it's very strange still. Halfway number 5, Kanye West. Everyone knows about this mess. Taylor Swift went up to the stage to accept her award for You Belong With Me at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards. And before she could finish, Kanye West trashed the whole thing. He stole the mic and said to the crowd,
"Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time."
Swift was mortified, and Beyonce could not believe what was happening. Kanye later admitted on Ellen that the incident gave him so much bad publicity, he left America and stayed in Japan, Rome, and even Hawaii to let things settle down. This event also started their decade-long feud that's still ongoing. In at number 4, Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam got in some hot water when they accepted an award and didn't really care. The band got a Grammy for Best Hard Rock Performance for Spin the Black Circle. The band seemed pretty shocked about the win. I guess they assumed that someone else was going to get the award instead. Eddie Vedder said on stage,
"Well, we just came to relax. I just wanted to watch the show."
Almost like they didn't want the hassle of coming up to accept the award. They also trashed the award show in general when they said,
"I don't know what this means. I don't think it means anything."
He finished off the lukewarm speech by saying, "Thanks, I guess," to the crowd. If I was a fan of this band, I would not have been happy about that. In at number 3, Sam Smith. Things got a bit awkward when Sam Smith was a bit too self-congratulatory and claimed they were the first openly gay person to win an award when they won the 2016 Academy Award for Best Original Song for their James Bond theme, The Writings on the Wall.
I read an article a few months ago by Sir Ian McKellen, and he said that no openly gay man had ever won an Oscar. I want to dedicate this to the LGBT community all around the world.
Many thought it was crazy that Smith wouldn't have known that legendary singers like Elton John had won the award before them. Smith was later called out for this mistake and later apologized, blaming the mistake on drinks they had beforehand. In at number 2, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is a very private person and he pretty rarely is outspoken about his personal beliefs. But during one accepted speech he went off the rails and offended many people watching at home. Taking the stage at the 2018 Tony Awards, he couldn't help but talk about the controversial US President Donald Trump.
I'm going to say one thing, Trump. It's no longer down with Trump, it's Trump.
Many in the crowd cheered on this speech, but many Americans watching at home did not like how De Niro blasted the president to the entire world. This was not a huge shock to De Niro fans, as he said in the past about how awful that he thinks Trump is. It's also been reported that Trump and De Niro have only met once, so people are not sure how he was able to form such a bad opinion so fast. And finally, number 1, Seth MacFarlane. I don't think there's any way that a monologue by comedian Seth MacFarlane would not be controversial, but his 2013 speech at the Oscars took the cake. The comedian was asked to host the Academy Awards, a pretty shocking decision since this is the man responsible for Family Guy. He also likes to sing, so his monologue was a song in part. The song he performed was called, quote, "We Saw Your Boobs," and named plenty of women in the audience that had been nude for a role before, mentioning everyone from Meryl Streep to Naomi Watts. He had a choir of men singing with him about how happy they were to have seen all of their breasts. Very gross. Charlize Theron probably had the worst reaction, hiding her face in her hands when the camera panned to her. This was the tip of the iceberg. He also shared how women would give themselves the flu to prep for roles, and also made a joke about the Chris Brown and Rihanna incident. I'm sure the Oscars learned their lesson after that one.
Starting off this countdown, we have Paris Hilton. In 2008, Paris Hilton was banned from attending the Oscars. She thought her 1.1 rating film, The Hottie and the Naughty, was big enough to land her a seat at the award show. Sadly, it wasn't. According to a source, and I quote, Paris cried hot, salty tears when she was banned from the Oscars. She's desperate to be taken seriously as an actress and hoped she would be able to network with film executives. Another source revealed that Paris and a number of other women were banned from the Oscars to prevent the evening from turning into, and I quote, down-market scrum. Not scum, scrum. That's insane. But don't feel too bad for Paris, she still managed to sneak into the after parties. Coming in at number 9, we have Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson was another woman banned from the Oscars in an attempt to keep it more classy. The same source as I previously mentioned said Pamela Anderson was another woman they banned to prevent the evening turning into down-market scrum. Frankly, they are scrum for doing this. The source continued on saying, and I quote, "They plan to focus on those people who have worked in the film industry for years, not people who are merely celebrities in other areas." In our 8th spot, we have Morgan Wallen. American country music singer Morgan Wallen was banned from the 2021 Billboard Music Awards after a leaked video surfaced showing him using a racial slur. He was banned despite receiving 6 nominations that year. The award show announced that they were banning Morgan, and I quote, "As his conduct does not align with our core values, we will not be including him on the show in any capacity." This isn't the first time he got banned from an award show though. On February 3rd, the Academy of Country Music announced that he was not going to participate in the 56th annual award show. They said, and I quote, "The Academy does not condone or support intolerance or behavior that doesn't align with our commitment and dedication to diversity and inclusion." So it looks like Morgan is banned from a couple of award shows, and who knows if he'll ever be invited back. In our 7th spot, we have Miley Cyrus. I don't know if you noticed, but Miley Cyrus was missing from the 2020 Grammy Awards. Now, some artists chose to skip the show for their own personal reasons, but it seems like Miley just wasn't invited. On Instagram, Cyrus posted a throwback clip of her performance from the 2013 MTV EMAs. She captioned the video, "And we wonder why I'm not invited to award shows anymore." In the video, we see Cyrus light up a joint on stage and take a couple of drags. Could this be why award shows aren't inviting her? Because of her past award show behavior? Seems like it. Miley's celebrity friends were quick to like her video and post encouraging comments like, "Don't ever change," and "I'd invite you first, TBH." Honestly, Miley's just a good time. Like, let's start a petition to get her unbanned. In our 6th spot, we have Kevin Hart. Back in 2019, Kevin Hart was scheduled to be the host for the 2019 Academy Awards. However, old homophobic tweets of his from 2009 and 2011 resurfaced online, and he was immediately blasted. Just to give you an idea of how controversial his tweets were, one of them from 2011 said, and I quote, "Yo, if my son comes home and tries to play with my daughter's dollhouse, I'm going to break it over his head and say in my voice, 'Stop, that's gay.'" To make matters worse, Hart even did stand-up routines talking about how he was scared that his son was going to be gay. Now, instead of apologizing and attempting to keep his role as the host, Kevin voluntarily stepped down and said he will not apologize for his past tweets. He said he's done apologizing for them. He said, and I quote, "There's no more conversation about it. I'm over that. I'm over the moment. I'm not giving no more explanation of who I am. I'm just done." I don't think Hart will be getting an invite in the future, but who knows. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Bill Cosby. In 2018, Bill Cosby was unwelcome at the Emmys. The Academy said that they are erasing his name from the Emmys website and removing his bust display. Now, they didn't say he was officially banned from the show, they just said that he's not welcome there, which basically means you're not invited. Don't come, don't show up, we don't want you here. This is due to the fact that Bill Cosby has taken advantage of a number of women throughout the years. In our 4th spot today, we have Tekashi 6ix9ine. In 2018, Nicki Minaj was invited to perform at the MTV VMAs. She was invited to sing her song Fifi, which was originally a Tekashi 6ix9ine song featuring Nicki Minaj, but later turned into a Nicki song featuring Tekashi 6ix9ine. But Nicki Minaj didn't want to perform the song without him, so she tried her best to swing it so that he attends the MTV VMAs with her. But sadly, he never got approved by the officials. Nicki ended up revealing on one episode of Queen Radio that, and I quote, "I don't want anyone to think for a second that I wouldn't invite him to perform his hit record. I want everyone to know my character. I wanted him to perform with me at the VMAs, and somewhere along the line he didn't get approved to perform by the powers that be." In our 3rd spot, we have Ricky Gervais. If you watched the 2020 Golden Globes, then you know exactly why Ricky is on today's list. He took the opportunity as the host to make jokes about Hollywood. He called a number of people perverts and joked about serious scandals and issues in the industry. A lot of attendees were left completely shocked by his speech. And I guess so were the officials behind the Oscars. When it was time for the 93rd Academy Awards, Ricky was not invited. He poked fun at this by tweeting his speech from the Golden Globes and captioning it, "It's the Oscars tonight. I wasn't invited. Was this something I said?" Coming in at number 2, we have Marilyn Manson. Now, this one isn't that shocking considering that the Antichrist superstar has done some pretty controversial things over the years. You know, like taking a broken beer bottle and cutting himself open on stage with it, or urinating on the crowd. That alone is why he doesn't get invited to award shows. But just recently, 5 women came forward saying Marilyn was abusive towards them. One of the women was his former partner, Evan Rachel Wood. Due to these allegations, his guest star appearances in a number of shows have been removed, like American Gods and Creepshow. So if they're removing his scenes in shows, there's no way they're inviting him to any award shows. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Kevin Spacey. Back in 2017, actor Anthony Rapp claimed that when he was 14, Spacey made a sexual advancement towards him. This empowered other victims to come forward. Over the years, a number of men have come forward claiming that Kevin Spacey tried to make advancements on them or that he has taken advantage of them. Kevin Spacey is now blacklisted from Hollywood and will not be attending any award shows anytime soon.
Starting off the list, number 10, we have singer and songwriter Ed Sheeran. He has confessed during an interview that American and British award shows are much different from each other. He states that in England they don't care who really wins or loses and it's just spent having a good night out. That being said, Ed's experience with American award shows is that it's just not a good atmosphere apparently, and he said that everyone is not nice. Just after his 2021 VMAs performance, he explained that he doesn't enjoy American award shows and doesn't feel like he will attend that many more in the future. The musician explained that the atmosphere was quite uncomfortable and that there's a feeling in the room that everybody wants other people to fail, and so he just doesn't like that and doesn't want to be a part of it. So honestly, it's like he's removed himself from award shows, which is fair. Taking on the number 9 spot is Justin Bieber. The pop star has actually been recognized by the Academy and has been nominated 3 times for a Grammy and won once. Justin was nominated again back in 2017 for his album Purpose for Album of the Year and Best Vocal Pop Album, while his song Love Yourself was also nominated for Song of the Year and additionally for Best Pop Solo Performance. With 4 nominations under his belt for the 2017 awards show, Justin was a no-show. The star didn't show up to the ceremony because in Justin's eyes it's apparently irrelevant and does not do a good job at representing young singers. Now, moving on to 2021, Justin was nominated for a pop category, though he felt this was wrong and released a statement saying he should fall under R&B instead. Even with the nomination again, it was said that he would not be attending again for similar and additional reasons. Moving on to our number 8 spot is The Weeknd. Before the 2021 Grammy Awards ceremony, The Weeknd announced that he would be boycotting the show and any future events or ceremonies held by them after he received no nominations for his well-received album After Hours. Sounds a little like Sore Loser to me. His album broke numerous records while his song Blinding Lights stayed on the Billboard Top 10 list for an entire year. Okay, so maybe he deserved an award. I should note that this historic accomplishment has not been met by anyone else, so he probably deserved an award. Therefore, when the artist was not seen on the nominations list, he felt annoyed, and his words were that it was because of their corrupt system. The musician made a statement saying that he believes that the public and other people in the industry need to see the system as it is and how you have to play for the win. It was announced that he will remain disinterested in being part of the Grammys and will no longer submit his work in the future. Quickly moving on to number 7, we have Kim Kardashian. Could you believe that there was once a time when Kim Kardashian was banned from the Met Gala? Well, you better believe it, because Anna Wintour herself resented the Kardashians and refused to let them attend the show as she didn't want any reality TV stars at her events back then, because she just had TikTok star Addison Rae this year. Though Kim made it into the event in 2013 on a technicality as her partner Kanye West was performing, and even Wintour herself could not deny entry to the headliners +1. This technicality of Kim making her way into the Met Gala without a formal invite was met with Kim being forbidden from attending the next gala due to Anna's sort of hatred towards her, so articles say. That being said, with the growing popularity of Kim Kardashian and her wildly known sisters, they would finally be able to formally go to the infamous Met Gala event, and Kim and her sisters would go on to have fashion moment staples at the event pretty much every year. Moving down the list, number 6, we have James Franco. In 2011, the actor hosted alongside Anne Hathaway for the Oscars. After the show, it would go down in history as one of the worst hosting jobs in Oscar history. The two ended up hosting to try to appeal to a younger crowd, as at the time, the pair were both at the peak in their personal careers. That being said, the night did not go as planned, as the two of them were constantly at odds during the show, leading to some very awkward moments. According to rumors, there was a lot of tension behind the scenes between Anne and James, which led to the disaster that was their hosting job. Though James is the one making this list instead of Anne, and that was due to his lack of professionalism, as Anne always showed up to rehearsals and committed 100% of herself, while it was said that Franco, on the other hand, didn't care as much and was quite lazy when it came to the show. Their complete opposite personalities did not work in their favor. Now, James Franco was never banned from attending the award show, but he was definitely not asked to host again, and honestly, ever since the Me Too lawsuits came against him in recent years, he hasn't really been invited back to anything. So, making it to the halfway point at number 5 is Frank Ocean. The mysterious singer and songwriter has been considered one of the best musicians of the decade, yet has never showed up to an award show. When Frank's debut album, Blonde, was released, the artist didn't even bother submitting his work to be nominated. So why is this? While the singer critiques the infrastructure of the award and nomination system, stating that he doesn't feel that award shows well represent diversity. Because of this, despite nominations and 2 winning Grammy Awards, the singer has not stopped his boycott and continued to stand against the Academy for their lack of representation. Following Frank Ocean not showing up to his Grammy Win Awards ceremony, the producer of the Grammy Awards criticized him, saying that he should in fact show up and perform in order to better represent himself. That being said, Frank's little interest with his winnings has led him to not be blinded by the success, and the boycott continues. At number 4 on our countdown is Kanye West. Now, we all know that Kanye is not new to controversies or media headlines, but this incident was caused due to many stunts from Kanye. Over the course of the musician's career in the industry, he has won over 21 Grammys, but has always lost when he was up against certain artists. Additionally, Kanye has been known for stating his hatred for the structure of the music industry and how little musicians actually have power because their record label owns all of their work. In 2015 at the Grammy Awards, the artist would make his opinion on the industry very clear by making headlines for rushing on stage after Beck won Album of the Year over Beyoncé's self-titled album. While later on in the ceremony during Kanye's performance, he flipped off the audience to show how he truly felt about the ceremony. In 2021, Kanye was also nominated for Best Contemporary Christian Music Album for his record, Jesus is King, though he still has not been seen attending the ceremony since 2015 for his protest. After Kanye won for his Contemporary Christian album though, he tweeted a video of him urinating on his award. So we're not really sure if he's ever going to be welcomed back, and it's not very Christian-like of you, Kanye. Also known as Ye, because he got approved to change his name legally to Ye. In case anyone wanted an update, that's a real thing. Moving up the ranks at number 3, we have comedian, actor, and producer Ricky Gervais. In 2020, Ricky had the important role of hosting the Golden Globe Awards ceremony. He is a comedian and well-versed actor with past experience in hosting award shows, so like, what could go wrong, right? Well, the answer is lots. Lots could go wrong. In the past, Ricky was praised for his very blunt and careless jokes, though his 2020 hosting gig was not met with the same reaction. In Ricky's opening speech, he made jokes about the racism in Hollywood and deeming the Hollywood Foreign Press Association to be blatantly racist. He then went on to joke about the several films being made about different assault cases that were going on. The audience was totally shocked by his speech, and the Academy was not amused. Because of his missed jokes and political commentary, the Golden Globes would go hostless the following year to purposely avoid another Ricky incident happening. That's when you know it's bad, when they're like, screw it, we're not having a host. Can't risk it. Moving on to one of the top spots, in second place is Tyler, the Creator. The 28-year-old musician originally began his career in the group Odd Future, but later on would turn solo and began making his own music. Tyler is now best known for his alternative hip-hop and neo-soul music genre. After After years of making Billboard hits and quite a few albums, in 2019 Tyler would win his first Grammy for Best Rap Album. His win was met with conflict after the ceremony though. During public interviews he said he felt that his win was a backhanded compliment. He believes that his music does not fit in the rap category. The musician stated that he is disappointed that artists like him are put in the rap or urban category even if they don't fit. His hatred for the word urban would be brought up as he states it's just a politically correct way of saying a racial slur. Tyler went on to call out the Grammys for their treatment of black artists and would want to be recognized on a more mainstream level versus the urban and rap category that he is put in by default by the Academy. Tyler's blatant honesty did not get him publicly banned from the show, but he's not been seen at an awards show ever since. Finally at number 1 is Morgan Wallen. The American country singer and songwriter found his way to fame by competing on the talent competition show The Voice. The artist was scheduled to perform, present, and accept possible winning awards at the 2021 Billboard Music Awards. He was nominated for 6 awards this year, including Top Country Artist and Top Country Male Artists. Though months before the awards show was to take place, he was caught on camera saying a racial slur. Following this, the Billboard Music Awards would ban any involvement that he was supposed to have in the 2021 awards show. That being said, his nomination still stood and he went on to win 3 awards that would be presented to his producer. Now, this was not the only awards show that banned the singer for this incident. He was also banned from the Academy of Country Music Awards show as well. The singer is not new to controversy though, as his performance on Saturday Night Live was cancelled as he apparently broke COVID-19 safety protocols by attending a party the night before the show.